Hello, my dear friends. Today I'm talking about the role of houses in mundane astrology. Mundane astrology, also known as political or world astrology, is a branch that focuses on the collective experiences of nations, governments, and societies rather than individual lives. At the core of this practice are the astrological houses, which represent different areas of experience. In mundane astrology, these houses offer insights into global events, political shifts, and societal trends. Understanding how each house operates in a collective context provides a deeper understanding of the forces that shaping our world. The first house, national identity and public perception. In mundane astrology, the first house represents the identity of a nation or collective entity. It describes how a country is perceived both by its citizens and by the global community. The sign of the house, along with any planets in the house, gives insights into the country's character, public demeanor, and how it represents itself on the world stage. For example, if a country with Leo on the first house might be seen as proud, dramatic, and authoritative, while a nation with Pisces rising could be perceived as compassionate, spiritual, or even elusive. Planets transiting the first house often trigger national events that impact public image, such as elections, revolutions, or periods of collective self-reflection. This house also governs the physical land of the country, including its climate, geography, and natural resources. When significant planetary transits or eclipses affect the first house, they may signal changes to the land or shifts in how the nation is viewed internationally. The second house in mundane astrology is associated with the nation's economy, financial systems, and resources. It governs national wealth, including both natural resources and the financial assets of the government. The sign of the house and any planets within the second house offer insights into the financial stability of the nation, its banking systems, and how it generates and manages wealth. For example, a country with Taurus in the second house may be grounded in agriculture or natural resources, while one with Gemini may have an economy based on trade, communication, and transportation, and also education. The position of the ruling planet and any significant aspects to this house can indicate times of prosperity or financial crisis. When malefic planets like Saturn or Pluto transit the second house, a nation may experience economic hardship, austerity measures, or conflicts over resources. Benefic planets like Jupiter or Venus, on the other hand, can bring periods of financial growth, increased trade, or wealth expansion. The third house is about communication, transportation, and education. This house governs a country's communication systems, transportation networks, and educational institutions. It represents the flow of information, including media, news, and public discourse, as well as the infrastructure that connects people, such as roads, railways, and telecommunication systems. The sign of the third house and any planets within it can show how a country manages these sectors. For example, a nation with Gemini on the third house might prioritize technology, media, and quick information exchange, while one with Capricorn may have more rigid or traditional communication systems. Transits to the third house can signal changes in these areas, such as advancement in technology, shifts in the public discourse, or the breakdown of communication networks. Major events like internet shutdowns, transportation strikes, or educational reforms often correlate with significant planetary activity in the third house. Fourth house, it's about national security and homeland. This house is linked with the homeland, including issues of national security, agriculture, and the living condition of the population. This house represents the physical territory of the nation, its infrastructure, and the collective sense of safety and belonging. It also relates to real estate, housing, and issues concerning the land itself, such as agriculture and food production. The sign of the fourth house can reveal the national character regarding these issues. For example, a nation with Cancer in the fourth house might prioritize family values, domestic security, and social welfare programs. In contrast, a nation with Aries on this house could have a more aggressive stance on national defense and border security. Planetary transits or progressions in the fourth house often correlate with shifts in homeland security, internal stability, or land ownership issues. For example, Mars transiting the fourth house could bring increased military activity or conflict within the country, while Neptune might signal confusion or uncertainty in matters of land and security. Fifth house, it's about culture, entertainment, and young people. This house is associated with a nation's cultural expression, entertainment, and the arts. It also represents the country's young people, including issues related to education, child welfare, and population growth. The sign of this house can indicate the nation's approach to creativity, recreation, and its collective relationship with children and the younger generation. For example, a country with Leo in the fifth house might have a vibrant theatrical culture with a strong emphasis on entertainment and the arts, while a country with Virgo on this house could prioritize practical education and intellectual pursuits for the young generation. The state of the fifth house also gives clues about nations' trends in leisure, sports, and cultural industries. Transits over the fifth house often give information about events in the creative industries or young related policies. For example, a Pluto transit means a cultural renaissance or a crisis in education or child welfare. It's a saying, any crisis show an opportunity. The sixth house means the public health, employment, and military service. This house is ruling public health, employment, and military service. It governs the working class, labor conditions, and the general well-being of the population. The sign of this house and any planets within can indicate the health of the nation's workforce and how the government approaches issues related to employment, healthcare, and public service. A country with Virgo on the sixth house might have a focus on healthcare, cleanliness, and efficient public service, while one with Sagittarius in this house may prioritize education and foreign relations in its public service initiatives. Transits to the sixth house often reflect changes in healthcare systems, labor strikes, or public service reforms. For example, when Uranus transits the sixth house, there may be sudden shifts in employment trends, technological advancement in healthcare, or unexpected challenges to the nation's workforce. Seventh house is about international relations and diplomacy, including alliances, treaties, and diplomatic efforts. It governs foreign relations, trade agreements, and conflicts with other nations. The sign of this house and any planets within it can provide insight into the country's approach to diplomacy and how it interacts with the global community. For example, a nation with Libra in the 7th house may strive for balanced, harmonious relationships with other countries, while Aries in this house might be more assertive or even aggressive in its international dealing. Transits in this house often correlate with shifts in foreign policy, trade agreements, or conflicts with other nations. A Mars transit might signal increased tensions or the start of a conflict, while a Venus transit could bring about peace negotiations or beneficial alliances. 8th house, it's about national debt, taxes, and transformation, and also shared resources, and also issues related to death, transformation, and regeneration within a country. It also rules over matters of national crisis, including national disasters and the aftermath of wars or economic collapses. The sign of this house and any planets within it can reveal how a country handles debts, taxes, and crises, and the process of change. A country with Scorpio in this house might experience intense periods of transformation, often going through cycles of destruction and rebirth. The 9th house means law, religion, and higher education. So means national laws, a legal system, religious institutions, philosophy, higher education, and international relations. It is concerned with the belief system that govern a society, including its approach to morality, ethics, and justice. Additionally, this house is linked to foreign cultures, immigration, long-distance travel, and diplomatic exchanges. The sign of this house provide clues about the nation's legal, religions, and educational values. For example, a country with Sagittarius on this house might have an expansive and adventurous approach to these topics, promoting higher education and openness to international cultures. When it's about Capricorn on this house, may have more conservative or structured legal and educational systems and could be more cautious in its diplomatic relations. Planets transiting this house or important aspects to this house can indicate significant developments of these areas. For example, Jupiter, that is planet of expansion and wisdom, when transiting this house, a country may experience an increase in immigration, reforms in the legal system, or a cultural shift towards a more progressive or philosophical outlook. But when Saturn is transiting this house, might signal more conservative legal reforms, restrictions in higher education, or challenges in religious freedom or diplomatic relations, and also restrictions in traveling. The 9th house also rules global trade agreements and treaties, so changes in international law or cooperation might occur under certain planetary influences here. Moreover, this house governs media, publishing, and the flow of ideas across borders, meaning transits in the 9th house can also reflect changes in how information is disseminated or regulated. The 10th house is about government, authority, and national reputation. It's the most important house in any chart, and it symbolized a nation, government, leadership, and public image. This house governs those in position of power, including the head of state, political leaders, and the country's ruling structures. It also represents a nation's reputation in the world and how it is perceived by other countries. The sign of this house, also known as the midheaven, actually the midheaven can be also in the 11th house, in 10th house, in 9th house, so it's not a rule to be in the 10th house, but anyway. And any planets within this 10th house offer insights into the character of the nation's leadership and government. For example, a nation with Leo on this cusp might have a strong charismatic leader or who command attention and authority, while a nation with Aquarius on the cusp might have a government that emphasizes innovation, democracy, or progressive ideas. When planets transit this house, major changes can occur within the government or leadership. For example, when Pluto transits the house can indicate a transformation or even a crisis in leadership, while an Uranus transit might signal sudden, unexpected changes in governments, such as a coup, reform, or the rise of a revolutionary figure. Benefic planets like Venus or Jupiter in this house can give periods of peace, prosperity, or increased prestige of the global stage. This house also speaks to the country's standing and reputation in international affairs. Significant planetary activity here might indicate a time when the nation's global influence expands or contracts, or when its public image undergoes a notable shift, wherever positive or negative. When it's about 11th house, it's about parliament, social movements, and alliances. Actually, 11th house is about politics also. Networking, as we know, it means a group of people and how they are working together. But this is on the country level. So it's about a nation's legislative body, such as parliament or congress, as well as its alliances, social movements, and group of dynamics. This house governs collective endeavors, political parties, and the public's relationship with their representative. It also pertains to friends and alliances on the international stage, such as alliances or partnerships with other nations, global organizations, and international coalitions. The sign of this house and any planet within it can reveal how a nation's legislative institutions function, the nature of its alliances, and the power of social movements. For example, a nation with Aquarius in this house may foster progressive social movements, radical reforms, and innovative alliances with other nations, while one with Taurus on this house might have more stable long-term partnerships and a conservative legislative body. Planets transiting this 11th house often trigger changes in the legislative processes, shifts in political alliances, or the rise of social movements. For example, when Uranus transited the 11th house, could lead to sudden or revolutionary changes within the government, often superheaded by grassroots movements or demands for reform. On the other hand, a Neptune transit might signal confusion or disillusionment with the legislative body or a dissolving of alliances. This house also governs political activism, NGOs, and humanitarian efforts. Significant transits to the 11th house can give the information about possible rise of influential social movements or major shifts in the nation's political climate, especially when it comes to collective goals or reforms. When the 11th house is activated, there is often a push for society progress, political innovation, or efforts to address inequality and promote social welfare. Yeah, but here it's a paradox. Too much social welfare is going to the bankruptcy of the society. So the balance of these measures is very important. The 12th house is about hidden matters, secrets, and national psychology. It's about also collective unconscious of a nation. It governs also hospitals, prisons, asylums, and other placements of confinement. It also deals with the country's secret activities, intelligence agencies, espionage, and covert operations. And also hidden enemies. On a psychological level, the 12th house represents a nation's subconscious, its fears, and the issues it tries to repress or avoid. The sign of this house and any planets within, it can provide insights into a nation's hidden agenda, internal weaknesses, and areas of collective vulnerability. For example, when Pisces is in the 12th house, might have a complex relationship with its spiritual or humanitarian ideals, often experiencing issues with secrecy, deception, or confusing in its internal affairs. A country with Aries in this house might deal with hidden conflicts, secret military actions, or issues of aggressions that are not immediately visible to the public. Transit over this house often reveal previously hidden matters, bringing them into the public consciousness. If Pluto is transiting, for example, this house, could expose deep-seated corruption, covert operations, or systemic weaknesses within the government. Neptune transiting this house might give information about times of confusions or spiritual awakening within the nation, while Saturn may bring accountability, forcing the country to confront its hidden issues or to restructure its institutions of confinement. This house also relates to national scandals, espionage, and behind-the-scenes maneuvers by those in power. During significant planetary activity in this house, a country might face internal crises such as an expose of secret dealings, institutional failings, or collective psychological shifts. Events associated with the 12th house often feel fated or karmic. Events associated with this 12th house often feel fated, like it's a destiny, representing the culmination of long hidden forces that suddenly comes to the surface. So, it's important for you to know, it depends where you are living, which is your country that you are living. It's nice and it should be better to know the natal chart of your country. Maybe you can find it on the website astrodatabank.com. Some of the nations that knows well the moment of the birth of the nation can have this chart there, for example, for United States of America and other nations. I'm waiting your comments and questions about this topic and what country do you want to analyze for 2025 to see what kind of events could occur for that country. Until next time, I wish you all the best. Bye-bye.